Ew, Lakshmi. Well, wow, here we are on the very last Sunday of 2019. Can you believe it? It seems amazing that we're here and also like it took forever to get here, all at the same time. And we're coming to the end of the year, so we're going to put the old year to bed today. We're going to put 2019 to bed a couple days early, but it takes a little while to get tucked in and go to sleep. So 2019, this is the time of looking at what we want to bless and release from the year that came before, and also what we want to embrace. And next week we'll spend a little more time on what we're embracing or inviting or welcoming to come in to the new year. But anybody have trouble letting go? Yes. Anybody? Thank you, Robert Harry. Yes, a few hands go up. So this is a teacher's remembrance. At the end of a long week of teaching, I quickly wrote a note asking the school librarian to pull books on our next health theme, teeth. I didn't realize that my note had a double meaning until my assistant pointed out what I had written. Teeth unit beginning on Monday. Would I be able to get you to pull the ones you have? I find that sometimes letting go is a little bit like pulling teeth. And sometimes it's just very natural. When you're a kid and your tooth gets loose and it wiggles around, and sometimes you refine it until it comes out, and sometimes it falls out because you left it in there for so long. Sometimes it seems like a natural unfoldment, and sometimes it feels like you're pulling yourself to pieces. Yes? Okay, so here we are looking at coming to the end of this year, and I hope you all got this little thing, putting the old year to bed when you came in. Did anybody need one of these? Did you not get one? We got a bunch of people in the front over here who need them. And how about pens? Do people have pens? Lydia needs one over here too, Mark. Michael needs one. And Frank in the back. Oh no, that's not Frank. That's Dave. Dave needs one. So I got a few. And Marilyn, you need one, Marilyn? Oh, good heavens. All right, now this is something we're going to do through the course of the morning, and you can make notes or you can write things down as you like as we go through. But we're taking a look at, give Paula a wave if you need a pen now. Has everybody got one of these? Everybody got one of these? Everybody has a form? Dave, did you get one? You got one, okay, good. Okay, great. Now, but you need a pen, right? Yeah, okay. So what we're going to look at now together has to do with what was and what will be. It's very important to have a little chaos, because Nietzsche said that you have to have a little chaos in your life in order to create a dancing star. So we're working on creating a dancing star. And so we want to first ask ourselves, what have I learned in 2019? In this last year, what have I learned? What am I thinking or doing that has grown out of that? What's changed? And what do I believe about myself right now or as a result of 2019? So on the little piece of paper, you'll see it says habits, beliefs, skills, experiences, knowledge. Those are things you might have gained this year. So we're looking at how we've grown and also where we are this past year. All right? So you can make a note for yourself for that. And then when we're thinking about letting go, here are some things that have been said about endings. First, by Raymond Lindquist. Courage is the power to let go of the familiar. And the ancient Chinese philosopher and teacher Letsos said, when I let go of what I am, I become what I might be. The Buddha said, you can only lose what you cling to. And my favorite one is from Ernest Holmes. He says this in The Science of Mind. Ernest Holmes is our founder. He says, nature will not let us stay in any one place too long. She will let us stay just long enough to gather the experience necessary to the unfolding and advancement of the soul. So whatever it is that we have taken in this year, and whatever it is it's now time to let go of, if we trust in the universe, even though letting go is not always easy, we can find that perhaps the path has brought us through necessary experience, and now the unfolding and advancement of the soul requires something new. It requires a new kind of courage or experience or openness or willingness or availability. So going forward over that threshold requires some courage, because that threshold is the known, and we're stepping into the unknown as we go off into the future. And so the question becomes then, what do I want to release now? What is it time for me to release now? And so I'm going to invite you to ask yourselves these questions. What am I tired of doing, feeling, or thinking and believing? What am I tired of? What have I had enough of? What if I kind of, it may be a compelling habit, but it's kind of outlived its usefulness? And who or what truly supports me? Who or what negatively influences me? And who or what am I inspired by? So in looking at what I want to release, I'm looking at the things that I'm ready to let go of because I don't like how they feel, or things that I know in terms of habits or people or places or things that are not particularly great for me, but other things are. So just when I say, what do I want to release now? It's those things I notice that I want to let go of, which might be habits or thoughts. It could even be people. So what do I want to release now? And you can make a note about whatever that might be. And you can also make a note about who inspires you or truly supports you, or what inspires you or truly supports you also. Because the question becomes, if I say I want to release something, that's actually not it. That's an idea or an intention or a hope, but it doesn't become activated unless I can see some evidence that a change has taken place. Yes? So the way a change takes place, then, we know that a change has taken place in certain ways. So we ask ourselves the question, well, how would I actually know if it was really released, if I really let it go? And one of the things that happens is we become unbound. We become unbound to that habit or that situation or that experience. When we cling to it, it limits us in some way. It sets a boundary around us. Does this make sense? And when we let it go then, or when we step beyond it, it gives us a greater sense of freedom because we have more choices then. We can't choose other than it until we and it let go of each other. And then there is a lightness of energy. So whatever it was that we were holding on to that was causing us difficulty or pain, we begin to move into a place where our feelings around it begin to become more neutral. And so we notice that what was hurting is becoming easier, or there's more breath around it, more elbow room around it. And finally, it's observable that we have different thinking process, different feelings about it, different behaviors. So if we think that we've changed, but we notice we're doing the same stuff, maybe not, right? Now this, for the adults in the room, is something that, Terry Cole Whitaker used to say, let go quickly of what clearly isn't working. But sometimes it's not so clear what isn't working yet. And then she told a story on herself. Now, if you know Terry Cole Whitaker or you know of her, you may be aware that she's been married a number of times. So at one point she was between relationships, and she said, I kept saying that I wanted a new relationship until I realized that I still had the same old underwear. Now, I realize that's a little risque, but the truth is, that was a tell. Because that was a way that she knew she was available or welcoming to somebody else. And so the different behavior, the different actions that we take, different places that we go to, newness that we include in our lives, that we begin to let it take hold, it lets us know that something has changed or shifted. And so those new thoughts and feelings and behaviors reflect the freedom of choice and the increasing lightness of our experience. So you might want to write down for yourself, how will you know? How do you think you might know when this thing or any of these things are loosening or releasing? How will you know? Will you know by feelings or behaviors or thoughts or activities? What will let you know that something has shifted? So we're going to do something like this right now, which is we're going to do a little bit of blessing and releasing what was. Blessing and releasing what was in 2019 that we've been looking at here. And it should be whatever you wrote under number 2. Or I'm going to play a little song right now that's going to come through the speakers. And this song will be your background as you're thinking about this question, which is, what is the first thing I need to do to let go? And I want you to think about that in terms of what might I be willing to do, what might I be able to do, what little small thing might be the first thing that I would take to help me let go. Because what we're doing is we are in the process of welcoming a new me to step into the new year. So what's the first thing I need to do to let it go? Sounds a little wonky, but
the simple things that live inside me have found an open door, and I finally recognize who I've become. And the knowing that has always known me is now easy to my lips. And I realize the beauty of my gifts. I am more than I ever thought I'd be, welcoming the new, welcoming the new. And I am the change that I always hope to see, welcoming the new me. The day can pass me quickly by, not seeing all I've done, and all the many blessings I've begun. The people that I've brushed my heart upon, just going through their day, and I have helped them find a state of grace. I am more than I ever thought I'd be, welcoming the new, welcoming the new. And I am the change that I always hope to see, welcoming the new me. Welcoming, welcoming, welcoming the new. Welcoming, welcoming, welcoming the new. Welcoming, welcoming, welcoming the new. Welcoming the new. Welcoming, welcoming, welcoming. welcoming the new, welcoming, welcoming, welcoming the new, welcoming, welcoming, welcoming the new, welcoming the new. And I am more than I ever thought I'd be, welcoming the new, welcoming the new. And I am the change that I always hope to see, welcoming the new me, welcoming the new me, welcoming the new me.
So now, for welcoming the new me, here are some quotes on beginnings. Ivy Baker Priest said, "The world is round, and the place which may seem like the end also may be the beginning." And then two things from Ernest Holmes. From The Science of Mind, he says, "Creation is always beginning, but never ending." And from my favorite book of his, This Thing Called You, "Expectancy speeds progress." Expectancy, I think of as different from expectation. Expectation is really specific. It's like, this is what I want to have happen. It needs to look like this. It needs to come from that direction. It needs to be this much or that tall or whatever. That's expectation. But expectancy is an availability to the greater good. And it's an optimistic attitude of faith that makes space for it. So what Holmes says is that expectancy, that kind of expectancy, increases the progress you make toward what it is that you're wanting to welcome. So think about this. This is what you're going to be thinking about this week, hopefully, as we move through the end of the year, into the new year, as we start 2020. And our theme for 2020 here is going to be 2020 spiritual vision. 2020 spiritual vision. Now that's going to require looking through a lot of appearances to tune into the spiritual vision of wholeness that's there. So we want to ask ourselves, what do I want to become? How do I want to grow this year? What do I want to invite or even entice? Or what do I want to welcome? Some of us are better at doing the becoming and welcoming than we are at doing the inviting and enticing. That's okay. We don't have to do all four. But we can choose our way of stepping forward, of really stepping over the threshold into this new decade, 2020, into a new me in this space. So I want you to think about your own threshold for where you are now, and stepping off of 2019 into 2020, into, whether you know it now or not, into the unknown, and who you wait to become on the other side of that threshold, so that you can step over your own and be ready to go there. Namaste.